Did the death of a celebrity push us to find out more about cervical cancer? It is the fourth most commonly caused cancer among women that develops in the woman's cervix, which is the entrance to the uterus from the vagina. But why then has it been ignored for so long? Is it the lack of awareness or the stigma attached to it? According to WHO, almost all cervical cancers, that is 99% of the cases, are linked to infections which are high-risk human papilloma virus or HPV as we know it, an extremely common virus transmitted to sexual contact. In this video, we try to understand what exactly cervical cancer is, bust some of those myths that are surrounding it, and more importantly, the measures that can be taken to prevent it. Let's dive into all of those details, but before that, do like and subscribe to Moneycontrol's YouTube channel for more such content. Cervical cancer is cancer that starts in the cells of the cervix. Cervix is the lower narrow end of the uterus or a woman's womb. Cervical cancer usually develops slowly and over time. Before the cancer appears in the cervix, the cells of the cervix go through some changes known as a dysplasia. It is an abnormal cell begins to appear in the cervical tissue. Over time, if not destroyed or removed, the abnormal cell may become cancer cells and start to grow and spread more deeply into the cervix and the surrounding areas. As mentioned before, anyone with a cervix stands the risk of cervical cancer. It occurs more often in people over the age of 30. Long-lasting infections with certain types of human papilloma virus or HPV is among those main causes. What then is HPV? HPV is a common virus that is passed from one person to another during sexual intercourse. It can also be transmitted through any intimate skin-to-skin contact. It is an STD which usually is harmless and goes away by itself, but some types can lead to a cancer or genital growths. Your immune system then usually controls your HPV infection. If not controlled, it could turn into an high-risk HPV infection, and if untreated, may then get worse over time and become precancerous and then cancerous. Many cervical cancer symptoms are also seen with other less serious conditions, and which is why they often get ignored. According to the National Cancer Institute, symptoms of early-stage cervical cancer include vaginal bleeding between periods or periods that are heavier and longer than normal, vaginal discharges that are watery and have a strong odor or even contain blood. Vaginal bleeding after sex is also another common symptom. Symptoms for advanced cervical cancer include difficulty or painful bowel movements or even bleeding from the rectum when having a bowel movement. Dull backaches, swelling of the legs are also some of those other symptoms.
Cervical cancer vaccination. Our government will encourage vaccination for girls in the age group of 9 to 14 years for prevention of cervical cancer.
Now, even the government understands the severity of the growing number of cases, and hence the interim budget of 2024, we heard Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman go on to say that the government will be pushing for measures towards its prevention. It is becoming more and more imperative for girls and women to get the HPV test and or the pap smear test in order to detect cervical cancer at an early stage. The HPV test looks for human papilloma virus that can cause cell changes on the cervix, while the pap smear test looks for precancers, cell changes on the cervix that already exist and that might become a cervical cancer if not treated appropriately. Screening then can go on to save lives. Cervical cancer is preventable and a curable disease. If detected early, it can be managed and cured effectively. One of the ways of preventing cervical cancer is through the vaccination program. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, an HPV vaccine can help children from certain cancers later in life and hence can be taken in the age of 11 to 12 years. and it can also be taken in 2 doses given 6 to 12 months apart. Children who start the HPV vaccine series on and after their 15th birthday need to take 3 doses given over 6 months' time. Adults aged between 27 to 45 years of age who were never ever vaccinated might choose to get the HPV vaccine after speaking with their doctors. Now, there are 3 types of HPV vaccines that are available in global markets. All 3 HPV vaccines protect against the HPV type 16 and type 18, which are the most common viruses that cause cervical cancer. India, in fact, has its own indigenous HPV vaccine called the Cervical, which was launched back in January of 2023 and developed and manufactured by Pune-based Serum Institute of India. It is likely that this vaccine will be added to the National Immunization Program and will be comparatively cheaper to the global vaccines.